Welcome to the Coming Home podcast or my YouTube channel, wherever you're listening, tuning in from. I'm Dr. Onalee, and I'm here to help you come home to yourself. This one's going to take a next level of accountability and ownership. This conversation sometimes can be difficult, and it depends on where you're at with a certain situation, circumstance, or relationship. So I may be speaking to the part of you that understands, or I may be speaking to the higher self version of you who doesn't understand yet, but might understand later. But either way, I'm going to get this message out, and I'm going to set the intention that it will plant seeds if you're not there yet. And that's okay. It's perfect. Wherever you're at is exactly where you need to be at. One thing I've learned on my journey up until this point is that every single situation and circumstance and relationship is just mirroring back to me my own power and my own beliefs. And that's that. I'm never saying that we inflict pain and abuse and other people's behaviors and choices. Other people's behaviors and choices are their behaviors and choices, just like our behaviors and choices are our behaviors and choices, even if they've been influenced by other people. What I have noticed, though, the example I use a lot in my work is about the partner who moved out with no warning. I came home one day and he moved his stuff out. He was gone. We were intimate that morning. I did a lot of self-reflection and a lot of healing, a lot of therapy, a lot of coaching around this situation and narcissistic kind of relationships. And what I've come to find 6 years later after that incident is that people actually behave and do what they need to do in our lives for our own growth and evolution, for our own ability to connect with our higher power, for our own ability to discover our own power. I'm going to do a masterclass on this, and it is going to be paid because the information, the conversation is so valuable and can really help transform you. But I'm going to give you a little snippet right now. I learned my power from that situation because when I got honest with myself, that relationship was not the relationship I really, really, really wanted to be in, even though I thought it was. And I talked myself into and convinced myself that it was. If I got deep, 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 deep down into my heart and into my true desire, I would find out that that was not what I actually really wanted. And I truly believe we're always getting signs and nudges, and our intuition and our gut and our heart is going off. But a lot of times we override it, especially if we're operating from scarcity or we feel like we're running out of time or we feel like this person is so close to what it is we actually want. We're not trusting in the fullness of our desire, the entirety of the relationship we want. I'm going to use relationships just to keep it simple, but relate this to whatever you need to. Most people settle and then they end up getting divorced because they didn't wait for who and what it was that they actually wanted. It's not to say divorce is bad necessarily, or if that was your situation or circumstance, that was wrong. You may have had kids with somebody and they, I'm sure, are your biggest blessing. I work with so many clients who have kids and who have been divorced. Many, many, many. It's a blessing for me and a gift for me because I can see that all of them knew in hindsight that that was not fully deep down the partner that they knew they wanted. A beautiful outcome came out of it. So I want to always reinforce this. Even the situations where we felt like we stayed too long or we got ourselves into the wrong relationship, our higher power was always with us the whole time, guiding us and supporting us. Our higher power never leaves us, no matter what decision that we make. We may learn some harder, more painful lessons, but we're always okay in the end. Sometimes we do go through a lot of pain in order to just discover that no matter what we've been afraid of or what seems scary, we are always okay. But I will say, a lot of people, almost everybody, I think everybody really, when they look back at the relationships that did not work or where they got cheated on, they got left, they got ghosted, eventually they get to the point where they can see, that wasn't truly, really the partner I desired. So hear me out on this because it can be really beneficial. It took me a long time to see this pattern, this dynamic within myself. I had a pattern where I'd really like the guy, and then out of nowhere, it felt they would leave me or they would choose somebody else. And I would be absolutely heartbroken. I would feel so insecure. I'd feel so blindsided. That was my pattern, my energetic dynamic that I was available for. And so what would happen every time is I would go through so much pain. I would then empower myself and I would feel confident again. And like clockwork, they would come back. They realized the other girl wasn't all that. In fact, was nowhere near how they felt with me every time. And so I would feel so excited again. Oh my God. Wow. He even went and was with somebody else. And now he really realizes how amazing I am. This pattern dynamic served me in multiple ways. One we can see off the bat was that this pattern served me in the sense that I got to get to a place where I feel real empowered and confident and sexy and on top of the world. So that pain motivated me to feel a certain way. It also made me realize that they really do like me. And now they're really sure of it. This dynamic, though, is very painful. The relationship is distorted and ruined after. There's a complete lack of trust and safety and security that was there in the relationship before. It's never the same. It never was the same. But I had to see my part in it. I had to see that I was available for that pattern and behavior. I can't just sit here and be mad at all of these guys over and over and over again. I was the one who took them back. But the reason I took them back was out of my own insecurity, my own unworthiness, feeling such a hit of relief and love when they do come back. I wasn't sourcing love within myself. I didn't feel worthy and valuable. I didn't know I could say no, or I didn't have the confidence and the courage to say no and close the door and keep it closed. I was so afraid of missing out. I was so afraid of being unforgiving. And this is the craziest part. I was so afraid of them feeling their own regret and their own shame from their choices and their behaviors. And so I almost wanted to protect them from not feeling negative feelings at the expense of my own well-being and love. So I had to learn to not be available for that dynamic anymore. And that was really hard. But when I could really take a look at the dynamic, the people who left, they weren't who I really wanted. I either wasn't that actually physically attracted to them. They weren't actually dependable and reliable, all the things that I kept saying that I wanted, but yet they were not them. They were not the full package. Some were close, but they weren't fully it. And so that's how I called my power back. I got to actually really see that all of the people that hurt me, they actually were walking out or not meant to be in my life to serve me so that I don't end up with somebody who I'm settling with, because I wanted big love, real love, 10 out of 10 kind of love. And I really believe when you go big with your life, you're going to have big challenges. You're going to have big tests. It usually takes longer. You usually go through more pain. I'm not going to put it out there and that's a belief, just based on a lot of facts and evidence. That's common. I believe that was part of my experience, going through so many tests and so much pain to really learn my power being that anyone who hurt me wasn't who I actually wanted to be with anyways. My power being that God removed them from my life so that I could be with better. Even though I didn't get the relationship right after, usually from these situations, right? Where I felt like God would remove this person and then replace with better. It wasn't always better next, right? It was, okay, here's another lesson. Here's another test. Are you going to choose your worth? Are you going to know how valuable you are? Are you going to not be available for a man to leave and come back? Are you done with that? Are you really done with it? You say you're done with it. Because we want to make sure that you can handle when we do send you the right person, and that you don't self-sabotage it and you don't feel ungrateful for it and you don't take it for granted. So my intention with this episode right now is to see that I guarantee you didn't really fully 100% like or want the person who really hurt you. If you're honest, I'm not talking superficial, but I did really like them. I thought they were the love of my life. Can you go deeper? The ability to go deeper is where you're going to find your power. We stay in a victim mentality and in so much hurt, which we get something out of it. We don't have to fully show up to life when we're victims. when you go deep, I would be very curious. Was there a part of you, for example, that was praying for somebody who reciprocates their love and chooses you and pursues you and is so loyal and kind and compassionate and warm and funny and generous and all these things that you were asking for and wanting? If you put that side by side of what it is that you were saying and intending for versus what they actually were doing, even if they had a big chunk of it or just one area was really, really, really great, were they both things? If you find a mismatch, this is where you can access your power and see, wow, I actually am so powerful that my higher power was not going to allow me to stay forever in the wrong kind of relationship, because that wasn't even what I was asking for or what I know I'm worthy of and what I actually desire. So the power is knowing that somebody leaving or not choosing you or cheating you or ghosting you is in your favor because they were not ever actually a true match for you. And you now have the opportunity to be available to that true match, whether it's the next person or not, you at least have the opportunity in the space. So your power is the ability to walk away, but it's also the ability to reframe and see that all the painful moments were serving you to get to the point where you actually can be a space and a match and be available to what it is that you want. I'm going to tell you right now, this requires a lot of courage. Most people do not live in their power at all. It's very rare somebody's actually in their power. So if you want to be that person, that's why I have this podcast. I'm going to create this masterclass. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, I'm here to help empower you, motivate you, inspire you to come home to your heart, to your truth, what it is that you actually desire. But this is where I'm going to get so clear with you. It takes continuous showing up, especially when it looks like it's not working. It takes continuous putting yourself out there. It takes continuous of a willingness to be rejected, to be disappointed, to fall. It takes a courage to be so strong and patient and have stamina in the waiting phase. Doesn't mean you don't take any action. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But the point is that you don't settle when it gets hard or when it gets dark or when it gets lonely. That you remain confident. And you don't go back to old habits, old relationships that hurt you. They might have felt good in the moment, and each time you go back, it feels good, but then it hurts you over and over and over and over and over again. I'm only in this position to share this wisdom because of my own experiences and working with hundreds of clients one-on-one and thousands in my groups and programs. And I'm going to continue to deepen my wisdom and knowledge around power and confidence and courage. And I will keep sharing what I learn. So it's my best intention that you really start to begin to understand your power on a whole new level and see that every single thing, it's not just a bumper sticker or what Tony Robbins says, right? Everything really, really, really is happening for you, especially the painful moments. I truly believe they're all leading you to what it is you actually want, and that God is not going to validate you settling or being available for something that's way less than what you actually deserve and what you actually desire. It's not going to be a match. And so we need to start reframing it. And if rejection especially has been a big part of your story and that's been hard to move through, especially if you've done a lot of therapy, a lot of coaching or self-reflection, I put together a masterclass called Reframing, Redefining Rejection. It's brilliant. It's a masterpiece. I wish that I had it through the time where I was left, where I was cheated, all these kind of things where I felt rejected. So I put together my process to heal from it, my perspective. I believe you will love it if you've experienced rejection and are still struggling with that, or it's hard to move on or not feel like you're good enough, worthy enough. But that's all I have for you today. I'm sending you so much love. As always, if you want to work with me one-on-one, do a course, watch some more free content. I have so many resources and options available to support you wherever you're at. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll keep creating content for you.